these are also not mutually exclusive. This is kind of the way I operate. So if you want to take 5% from your 4 load days, in all
Hello there. I'm Brad Loomis, professional natural bodybuilder and master powerlifter. I'm a contest prep coach for powerlifters and cosmetic athletes with 3D Muscle Journey. I'm also sponsored by AST Sports Science and proud to represent their brand. However, that's not all that I am. I'm also a devoted family man, a CAT scan tech, and a devout Catholic. A life like mine is not at all glamorous, at least not as some would lead you to believe. Don't get me wrong, there are some high points, but it's mostly just a lot of hard work. And it's quite boring, especially for a guy like me, with below average genetics for bodybuilding and only putting up average to maybe above average numbers in powerlifting. However, that didn't really matter to me. I love my life as a family man, and I love my life as a coach. However, I really love to train. I don't train to compete. I compete on occasion because I love to train. And this is my grind.
Okay, guys and gals, so this vlog is going to cover our trip to London for the 3DMJ/SBS Academy conference. It's a long plane ride there. We left, if I recall correctly, we left on Wednesday. It's a 9-hour plane ride. It is what it is. Luckily, I was traveling with those that I love, my wife and one of my best friends, Jeff. Got to London, I want to say on Thursday. Pretty much shot down, those 2 days. The cars in London are very small. You can imagine 4 people and luggage in a little car was kind of rough. So Friday, what's the first thing bodybuilders do? They train, and we went to Commando Temple in downtown London, near Greenwich, I guess it's called.
What's up? How you doing, man?
what you doing? Yeah, I think this was I'm going to be going through like a
So after a 9-hour plane ride and then a couple hours in the car, my singles was really all I could manage at, I can't remember what the weight was. I think it was about 140 kg. So I just got some accessory work in and then, basically just enjoyed the gym and the time with, the rest of the coaches. And then after we got done training, we just kind of went around and saw the sights and all of the neat places around London and then enjoyed each other's company and went and had some good food. And yeah, just kind of saw the United Kingdom. But yeah, that was Friday, and then Saturday morning, had to get up bright and early and get some coffee in me. I don't function, too well without coffee. So I went across the street to a coffee shop, had me a couple of cups of coffee, and then off we went to Chelsea Football Stadium.
Hold on, that was a stupid question. 1:41 in the morning.
Is that changed or what?
Yeah. the first time in Nando's, guys? Or?
Yes.
They got Nando's in New Zealand.
Thumbs up?
But it's better here.
Love, not even a like anymore. It's a love.
No, we don't like things we love. Unless we don't love them.
So man, the Shredded by Science guys, they know how to do things up right. And really, really true professionals in every sense of the word. Eric was up first. He gave his talk on flexible dieting and the uses of it. Berto was second, or no, I think Jeff was second. Talking about stresses of contest prep. Berto was third, talking about off season. And then of course I was later in the afternoon after lunch. Luckily got some really good photos and some footage from some of the attendees that were there. This is kind of more for intermediate advanced lifters. It's kind of the same thing. Oop, I think we're missing some of our block, but that's okay. I'll be able to get across what I need to. The big thing here is that it's similar to the intermediate progression that I just showed you. Probably the biggest thing is, let's see, where is it at? More of the work is with lower intensities. So when you're got 10, 20 years in the gym and you've got, say, a 200 kilo squat, you're not going to be able to work in that range during a competition prep. So you can see a lot of your intensities are going to be a lot lower as you go through your different blocks. A lot of the intensities are a lot lower, but it's kind of the same thing. You build up the weight, drop the reps, build up the weight, drop the reps, deload, start the thing over again, and then off you go again for another block. Advantage and disadvantages, again, it's very low maintenance. In a percentage-based program, you just kind of put in your 1 rep max, send it off. It's good for about anywhere between 8 and 10 weeks. It's a little harder to program. Obviously, somebody that's a beginner, are they going to know their 1 rep max? No. Okay, they're not even going to know their 5 rep max hardly. So it's a little bit harder to program. This is super easy to auto-regulate because there's already reps here, 3 by 8. At 160 kilos. So just basically tell them, look, I know that you're dropped 10 kilos and you can't do that weight anymore. Just pick a load that feels appropriate for that. And then again, it's a little easy to overtrain because you're looking at these numbers and, we're all competitive. We're like, I'm going to get that. So, okay, deloads. What is a deload? A deload is just basically a period of time when training intensity and or volume is reduced to reduce fatigue, okay? We don't think about this when we're trying to do all of the volume all of the time, but there's a lot of fatigue that gets generated with that, right? Plus, outside of that, we've got things like Jeff talked about. We've got outside stressors. We've got life. We've got kids. We've got school. So this is all generating fatigue as well. When fatigue gets accumulated to a certain point, you're not going to progress. I don't even care if you're in caloric surplus and you're in your off season, you're not going to progress when fatigue is outweighing your fitness, okay? So in this little graph here, we've kind of got our normal state where our fitness is relatively greater than our fatigue as we're generating more and more volume and we're training harder and harder and harder. Pretty soon we meet this overreached state where fatigue has far exceeded fitness, right? And then if we can find a way to reduce our fatigue through dropping the volume for a short period of time, you end up in this peaked state where now our levels of fitness are higher than when they were from our previous normal state, but we don't have the fatigue. And so we're actually, in a better state of progression. This is nothing new. How many of you heard the little podcast that Shredded by Science and I did on deloads and tapers? Darn, not very many. Okay, so real quickly, you think about a marathon runner. Okay, does a marathon runner go out and run a marathon for its training day? Oop, boy, I forgot somebody that told me not to do that. No, they don't. They can't do that. They're going to generate volume. They're going to generate miles and speed, right? Until basically they reach, after weeks and months of training, they reach maybe a 20-mile run, right? Are they going to want to go the next week and run their marathon? Lord, no. Okay, they're beat up and they're tired. Okay, so they go through a taper where maybe they'll keep the same speed. They're still running the same speed, but now they're instead of running 20 miles, they're going to run 15, and then a long run might be 12. A short run might be 5. Now, is their fitness dropped? Are they now fat and out of shape? No, they're still in that great shape through all that fitness that they've built up. But what's gone is the fatigue.
And so when they get on marathon day, they're going to feel like Superman. We do this in powerlifting all the time too. This is something we can recycle over and over again. And guys that are afraid of losing their gains, right? Don't worry about it. You're not just going to all of a sudden drop your level of strength and fitness down to being fat and out of shape, okay? So learn how to use this appropriately and know that with advanced lifters, you know, guys that have been in the gym 20 and 30 years, they can't progress unless they use deloads and tapers because you're always in this state, right? So you have to deload and taper in order to progress, okay? So use this wisely during competition prep. And then again, recycle this as often as you need to, especially during contest prep, because you can strategically use these things.
That footage was from the Shredded by Science guys. Little clip there in the middle of my presentation. I think the part that I was the most proud of, though, was the open forum that I had, where basically, once we went over all the tools, I just had people throw scenarios at me and told them how we would coach them, and Eric and I fielded their questions. And then there was a Q&A after the fact that was a lot of fun. We just all kind of fielded questions as they came at us. And then the fun part was when everything was all said and done and you could mingle with all of the attendees that were there. That was probably the most enjoyable part of the whole day, was just meeting and greeting with people. You know, really passionate people, really, you know, have common interests. Got to meet a couple of my clients that I've actually coached to competitions, which was definitely the highlight of the day. So guys and gals, that's day one of the 3DMJ SBS Academy conference in London. Stick around and I will document day two, which was the practical portion. Thanks for watching.